If you have ever wondered whether you should full buy after winning a pistol round, the answer is yes, absolutely. There are a few exceptions, which we will dive into later in this video. In Valorant, the credit economy is the core gameplay mechanic that dictates what weapons, shields, and abilities players can buy at the start of each round. Today, we're breaking down how the economy works in Valorant. I will explain the flowchart you would want to follow, how to stay aligned with your team's decision making, and how managing your economy can increase your chances of winning the game. Let's start with the basics though. How do you actually earn credits in Valorant? Players earn credits based on their performances and on the outcome of each round. The key sources of income are as follows. Winning a round awards 3000 credits per player. Losing a round still grants credits, but the amount increases progressively to help teams catch up when they lose consecutive rounds. For example, after your first loss, you get 1.9k credits. After a second loss, you get 500 credits more, which is 2400. On your third consecutive loss, you will receive 2900 credits, and that's the maximum you will receive after losing a round. Each frag or elimination also awards 200 credits per player. Planting or defusing the spike gives 300 credits to every team member. Successfully defusing also contributes to a round win. Just remember that. Now, before we dive deeper into the strategy, there are some key terms and concepts you need to understand about Valorant's economy. These terms form the foundation for making effective decisions. Full buy is the first one. This is when players spend enough credits to purchase primary weapons, shields, and abilities. At a minimum, a full buy requires 3300 credits, which is just enough for a rifle and light shields, though this won't include abilities. But this is the minimum amount of credits you need to have for a full buy. Half buy is the second term. This is a deliberate choice to spend minimally, typically after a loss, to save enough credits for a stronger loadout in the next round. During a half buy, players might invest in a sheriff, light armor, or utility, but avoid overspending, so you would like to have minimum 3300 the next round, which is easy to manage in Valorant because the game will tell you how much minimum you will have the next round after you buy the items in your menu, so pay attention to the number there. Force buy is the next term. A force buy occurs when a team spends every credit they have to maximize their chances of winning a round. This is common in high-stakes situations, such as when the enemy team is on a match point or when you planted the spike in the pistol round but lost. In that scenario, round 2 becomes a unique situation where both teams have similar credits, making force buying a valid strategy for the attacker. Essentially, you buy everything what you can with the credits that you have, but you focus on buying guns first, utility second. Next one is full eco. In a full eco round, the team spends almost nothing to save up for the future rounds. This is often a strategic sacrifice to prepare for a stronger buy in the next round. A full eco might actually happen when you forced the last round and you have almost nothing in the bank, so you just buy only the utility pieces and no guns. Remember that the utility pieces that you have in your inventory, they don't have to be spent in that round when you have them. Only use those utility pieces when you see that you already gain an advantage, and you might actually gain even more advantage by spending the utility. Because if you don't spend it, then it's transferred to the next round, so the full eco makes sense. The next term is confusing a lot of players. Bonus round. This happens when a team saves weapons from a previous round and plays with them in a round where they're likely at an economic disadvantage. For instance, if a team wins the pistol round and the follow-up round, they often enter round 3 with saved weapons and minimal investments, even though they expect to face a stronger opponent buy. In that round, you have to treat your spending like it's a half buy. Some of your teammates might already have weapons and they will not spend anything, and you have to spend minimum amount to have 3.3k minimum for the next round, so for round 4. So you might ask for a gun from a teammate, like buy me a sheriff or drop me a sheriff if they already have one and they have a primary weapon, or you just buy enough to just have that minimum 3.3 for the next round. Treat it as a half buy. Side note, on half buy rounds, you should not buy regen shield because you're most likely going to lose this round and you're not going to save the regen shield for the next round. Valorant economy adds a layer of strategic depth to the game. Players must decide when to save, when to spend, and when to gamble their resources in order to gain an advantage over the enemy team. Managing credits effectively often makes the difference between victory and defeat. It's also important to remember that Valorant is a team-based game. Success relies on all 5 players working together towards a common goal. Communication and understanding the fundamentals of the economy are essential to maximizing your team's chances of winning. This is why I prepared following flowchart for you to easily understand when and how to buy, so you can align with your team's goals and make sure that you're all on the same page. The goal of this flowchart is to show you the typical flow of a game of Valorant where everyone follows the strategic economical aspect of the game correctly. You start at round 1, and then whenever you win, you follow the green arrow. Whenever you lose, you follow the red arrow. So in the simplest way of explaining this, everyone should just follow the correct arrows whenever they win or lose. If they don't, that typically means that they're not going to be aligned with the rest of the members of the team. Now, there are some nuances here that I want to explain. For example, if you win pistol round, you win the second round, you go into the bonus round, and then it doesn't matter if you win or lose, you're going into a full buy. The reason for that is that if you win the bonus round, your opponents are going to be on a low buy. So you should be buying up. If you died, you're full buying because your opponents are on a low buy and you want to save as much as your economy for the next round after winning the potential eco, because you should be winning against an eco. So you try to buy as much as possible. Now, if you would lost that round, so you win round 1, you win full buy on round 2, and you lose the bonus round, so it again goes to a full buy because you played a bonus round and it doesn't matter what's the outcome of that round, you still should be ending up with a full buy if you played the game correctly. Same happens if you have lost the round to full buy after winning the pistol round, which can happen often actually in Valorant Ranked. So when that happens and from round 2 full buy you lose, you should be going into an eco round when you buy util, but you potentially are not using it, and you only use it in a moment when you know that you're gonna gain a huge advantage because someone got a kill, it's a 5v4, and now you can use that util to maximize the chance of actually winning a round that you should not be winning. And if you don't spend the util, then you have it for the full buy round, where you should always go into, because it doesn't matter if you lose round 3 on an eco or win round 3 on an eco, you should be going into a full buy. It's never becoming a bonus round anymore because, again, your opponents are on an eco and you should be full buying if you died. Now, once the game actually reaches this point, you're always gonna go in circle with this kind of a loop. So, which means if you play a round, you win or lose, you have to check how much cash your teammates have. If all of your teammates have more than 3.3k, you should be full buying. If your teammates have less than 3.3k, you should be half buying, full eco, or force buying depending on the context of the game. This is very important to understand because this is a loop that you're gonna be following all the time in every round, and understanding to checking the economy in the leaderboard is crucial. So always check how much cash your teammates have and make a call based upon on this, left or right. Less than 3.3k, more than 3.3k. Now let's speak what happens when you go from round 1, from the pistol round, into round 2, when you have an eco. So that means that you're gonna buy enough utility and maybe a pistol to have 3.3k minimum saved for round 3. And from round 2, it doesn't matter if you win or lose, you always follow the red and the green arrow into a full buy. From that moment, you always check for the next round if your teammates have 3.3k or not, and then you follow the half buy, eco, force buy, or a full buy. Now there's a unique scenario though. When you lose the pistol round, you were attacking and you planted this spike, and now you can consider either going full eco like I just explained, or because you planned it and you have the additional 300 credits per player, so you get 2.2k for each player after losing a round, you can consider forcing. In this case, you buy an SMG, small armor, or like a Sheriff big armor, although I don't really recommend that. You would like to have rather an SMG and small armor, and you go into round 2 as an attacker with an advantage because you can actually fully coordinate and execute with all players of yours having guns, and your opponents might not even think that it might be happening, so they might not be prepared properly for a force buy from the attackers. From that point, depending if you win or lose the force buy, you have the option to full buy if you win, because you win an unexpected round and you have enough cash to actually full buy. But if you lose the force buy, you might actually go into a loop of force buying into force buying, right? Or just have to make a hard decision of going a full eco or a half buy depending on what you did during the round. From that point, when you have to make a decision, half buy, eco, force buy, you have to go and check how much cash your teammates have. Do they have less than 3.3k or do they have more than 3.3k? And then you have to make a decision, is it a full buy or a half buy? Now let's talk about some tips and tricks when it comes to economy. For example, if I play a space creator duelist like a Euro, Raze or Jet and I win the pistol round, I will not buy an SMG for round 2, even though I say always full buy after pistol round. Now why is that? If my job is to create space on site, against an eco, I don't want to have a gun in case I get unlucky and I die because, you know, something happened unexpected, and then I'm isolated from the rest of my team and my opponents who are on a full eco are gonna get my gun for free. So what I do instead is I buy a full shield or a regen shield, I buy full utility, and I get a pistol for free from my teammates, or I buy a ghost or a frenzy. Never buy a sheriff if you do create space, because the sheriff on a tag is actually, you know, it's just 6 bullets. Like, you can get unlucky and not hit a moving target, you know? So when I do that, I create the space with minimal investment, and I try to do that because I still have an advantage, an upper hand over the economy of my opponents, because they will have no shields, they will have some weaker guns, no utility, so I'm able still to win my gunfights, but even if I get unlucky, I don't give the gun to my opponents. This is also why it's so important on round 2 to not buy a small shield and rifle and no utility and then lurk around the, you know, the map. Don't lose your guns to economy, to low economy opponents of yours. So always be next to your teammates if you have a gun, so someone can pick it up in case you get unlucky. A very common question I get is when to buy the regen shield. So the answer typically is, I buy the regen shield when I know the round has a very high chance of winning. For example, I win the pistol round, I go into round 2, I buy the regen shield because I know there's a high chance that we're gonna win this, and I'm gonna transfer the regen shield to round 3 without spending any resources. So I can essentially save 400 to 1000 credits on round 3 on the bonus round, because I have my regen shield, even though I taken some damage in round 2. Now let's talk about the rounds when I don't want to buy Regen Shield. Regen Shield is not going to be bought by me in rounds when I think we are going to lose, or there's a higher chance of losing than winning. Like, for example, we win pistol, we win the full buy on round 2, and we go into a bonus round. On the bonus round, I'm not going to buy a Regen Shield because most likely we're going to lose it, and we're going to go into round 4 for a full buy. So I don't want to spend 650 credits for a Regen Shield that I will probably lose anyway. Another rounds when I don't want to buy the regen shields is by checking the patterns of my opponents. So in a ranked game where most of the players play Vandals, I will probably go for the regen shield. But if I see that my opponents are actually playing a lot of Phantoms, then I won't buy my regen shield, because 125 HP might be a huge detriment against a gun like a Phantom. Same goes if my opponents like to buy Outlaws. I will not buy the Regen Shield because most likely I'm going to put myself in a disadvantage, because now the Outlaw becomes an operator against me, and it's strictly going to be better than an operator because they will have 2 bullets and I have a high chance of killing me. I will also not buy the Regen Shield if I identify that my opponents really like playing Buckies, Stingers and Judges, because all of those guns have drastically lower time to kill if you have 125 HP instead of 150. Same happens when I see that my opponents have a Neon Ult ready. That's a gun that essentially also benefits from you having 125 HP instead of 150. Those are the rounds when I avoid that as well. I also buy the Regen Shield when I know that my opponents have a lot of chip damage, because then I can get the chip damage and still have the 25 bonus armor, or in a play where I know that I might be shot through light cover, but I will have a higher chance of surviving, so that's the round when I want to buy the Regen Shield. Also, think about it this way: if your composition has 1 or 2 healers in it, like Sage or Skye for example, it makes more sense to buy Regen Shields, because you might actually get a lot of value from it, because you're gonna get healed up, because the Regen Shield is a unique shield that always gets the damage first on the shield itself. Utilizing Regen Shield correctly can snowball your economy because you might save so much cash between rounds when you save your regen shield. So using it correctly is actually one of the main reasons why you might be able to buy more guns in your other rounds. Another tip that I have for you when it comes to playing ranked games, it's at the beginning of the round, always check how much cash your opponents have. Not only this will tell you if they're on a half buy or they're gonna be a full buy, it will tell you maybe how to abuse some guns. Like for example, Outlaw. If you know that your opponents are on a half buy because they don't have the 3.3k in their bank for this round, you will know that they will most likely have a half shield. If they have a half shield, your Outlaw becomes an operator, so you can abuse the gun. You can also check like which character doesn't have the full buy cash, so you know for which opponents you should aim for the body, which opponents should be aimed for the head. I know sometimes that's not an easy decision to make mid-game, but you can try to memorize or make a decision. Like for example, 3 out of 5 players have a small shield because of the economy that they have. Well, in this case, I'm gonna buy an Outlaw because I have a very high chance of killing 2 players with just body shots. The next tip, I know I already talked about it a few times during the video, but it's such a crucial point that not many even pro players follow, is driving me insane. So when you're on an eco buy your full kit of utility, or at least what you think you're gonna need for the next round, by still also maintaining the 3.3k minimum for the next round, right? Or the 3.9k if you want a full shield. But remember, that utility piece that you have during the eco buy doesn't have to be used. You want to use that utility during the eco buy only when your team gets an advantage by killing some opponents, and then your utility piece that you have already will potentially maybe win the round, because you're able to smoke more times. Maybe you have some recon utility, like a drone if you play Sova, that you wouldn't have before, and that utility piece now can be used to gain even more advantages in a round that you shouldn't be winning in the first place. But if the round goes in the expected way and you lose the eco round, you lose the half buy, then you didn't have to use that util in the first place, and now you have it for the next one. It's just min-maxing of your utility is so important if you're able to understand the economics of this game. So remember, 3.3k for a full buy with a half shield, or 3.9k for the full buy with a full shield, is something that you always need to have in mind when it comes to planning to the next round. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments.